Welcome, friends. This is Into the Garden We Grow, a place for faith-filled growth. Each week we gather here to have honest conversations about life, leadership, healing, and purpose, reminding us that even in hard soil, something beautiful can grow. Wherever you're planted today, you belong here.
Hi friends, welcome back to Into the Garden We Grow. My name is Alina.
And I'm Kelly.
Today we're going to talk about tending the soil of our hearts and growing something real with God. Today's conversation is for the tired ones. The ones who love God, but if you're honest, you feel drained, overwhelmed, and maybe even a little disconnected. So today we're going to talk about burnout, Kelly.
Oh, I love it. It's such a relevant topic.
Yeah, not just the physical exhaustion, but the spiritual burnout too, I feel like. Because
sure.
I'm kind of going through both of them today, or at this time. So I hope you guys are ready to come in, grab your cup of coffee or your tea, and let's have some conversation about burnout.
Absolutely. I think I keep hearing this conversation over and over again of just people feeling exhausted, burning out, not sure how to change it, and just kind of keep pushing through, especially I think women that have a lot going on. So whether it's businesses or they have a busy job or their parents or whatnot, I think that's just a really heavy load that we all can carry sometimes.
Yeah. So I just want to be real for a minute. There's been seasons where I was showing up, serving, doing all the right things, but inside I was empty. And so sometimes even the Christian life gets burnt out, right? We're all humans and we all go through seasons of life where I know for me personally, I have a hard time saying no. So I say yes to everything. And then it just things pile on top of each other and then I burn myself out. So so have you ever felt completely exhausted, but you're doing all the right things? This is the time where we can talk about it and maybe we can help you guys or give you some insights on how we can overcome that.
Yeah, I mean, I can relate for sure. I've had different seasons where I was checking all the boxes, right? I was serving at church. I was, working hard at my job. I was trying to juggle all the family things. I was trying to do it all and be it all. And it just left me so burnt out. And I think sometimes, especially as believers, there's this tendency to want to be perfect and to feel like you have to show up a certain way. And I think the more real and raw and vulnerable we are, it actually brings us together, right? We can relate to it. Because I don't know about you all, but have you had that time where you were like, how does she do it all?
Yes.
I think that's a common, thing that we ask one another. I don't know how she does it. Guess what? We're all juggling. We're all juggling. And that's the real truth of it. And, even Jesus knew that rest was needed, that we needed to take time to focus on the right things instead of the busy things. And we're in a culture where doing more is seen as more instead of rest and rhythms as being a healthy thing. So I don't know. What's your experience with burnout?
Actually, honestly, I just experienced burnt out this weekend. So I went up north to serve a community of women, and it was an incredible time. It's called Tres Dias. And I'm sure some people heard of it, but it's an amazing weekend where you get away on the mountain and you just kind of learn about Jesus and you kind of meet Jesus there because there is a time of quietness. And so I went as serving, and man, my job description was serving in a certain area, but then you kind of get pulled in every direction. And so the great thing is I survived. I was there. I gave him my all, and then I came home and I was exhausted. And so be smart about it, what I did was like literally slept for the next 2 days. Yes. And then like, you know, my husband asked me on Sunday night when we got home, he's like, okay, so are we going to sign up for October? And I was like, don't even talk to me about that because I'm so tired. I don't think I want to do it for a while. But then as soon as I came home and I rejuvenated and napped and did the things that I needed to do to take care of myself, I was like, let's go. I can't wait for the next weekend to be able to pour into people and show and share the love of Jesus, because it truly is an amazing experience. If more people want to find out about it, you can. You can't just sign up to go to this conference. You have to be sponsored by someone, but it's nationwide. And so, yeah, you can maybe go online and see what the chapters in your area that you can contact somebody to see if you can get sponsored. But it's a beautiful, beautiful experience. And so
that's amazing. And I think it's such a good example of like, even the good things can burn you out.
Yes.
You know, you're going there to serve, you're going there to learn more about Jesus and get closer to Jesus and be in this community of women. And even the good things can burn us out sometimes. And so just honoring that of like this idea of rhythm and rest is okay to do that. You know, that too many good things can still be too many. And so, and we're all different too. I think that's one thing that sometimes we don't look at is what my rhythm is and what your rhythm is might be totally different. I kind of think about like a marathon. Like some people can run that marathon the whole way, right? That 26 point however many miles. Yeah. I'm a sprinter. I can run short distances and then I need rest, you know, and kind of that difference in the long distance runner versus the short distance runner. But that idea of like what you might be able to do in terms of your stamina and your rhythm, you might need less rest than someone else. Or like you said, I need 2 days and then I'm ready to go again.
Yeah.
You know, so we're all different. And I think trying to get out of that comparison mindset of, well, someone else is doing it, so I should be too. Right. It's okay. You have to know what your own burnout limits are.
Right.
Would that be something, do you know what your burnout limits are?
Well, now that I get older, yes. Because I'm definitely one of I say yes to everything and then figure it out. Or I used to, I should say. I used to say yes. And I was one of those ladies that I would look up, I'm like, how do you do it? How are you involved? And how do you get so much done? And how do you attend all your kids' events and all the things and still have a smile on your face? And honestly, I have a serving heart and I love serving and I love just being there for people and blessing people. But then I do have to be smart and pull back and then recharge myself. And what that looks for me a lot of the time, honestly, is just now the more mature that I get, the older I get. I used to not want to be quiet or sit still because I didn't want my thought, like I felt like I couldn't shut off my thoughts and then I didn't want to hear what my thoughts had to say to me. And so, but now I do, like I choose meditation, which is just, a lot of it is just sitting quiet in my room, or, you know, find a place in your house or in your yard where you could go and just sit there and do nothing. Yeah. Turn your phone off, stay off your phone. A lot of people think that, oh, my relaxation time is, let me scroll through social media, right? I feel like that's one of the biggest things right now. And that's not quiet time. That's not being still. That's not meditating. That's just looking at people's pictures and stories. And then some people tend to get a little bit of jealousy that comes creeping in because they're like, oh, how come she's always gone? Or, you know, the thing. So like fill your mind with things that are going to be beneficial to you. And that is, for me, a lot of it is, I'll try to be quiet, like sit still. And if I get bored or things start creeping in, I go to worship music and I put worship music on and then just sing along and just be still and worship in that way. Yeah. And then of course, the next best thing is being in the Word. Yes. And for me, like until recently, I used to be like, well, I want to be in the Word every day. I want to read my Bible. And it doesn't matter what that looks like. And it's true in a sense. Like you don't have to necessarily, like having the Bible read to you, for example, because I do that a lot when I don't have time, and I'll put it on in the background while I'm getting ready or brushing my teeth or doing my hair. It's still good to have it, but really is just like another checkbox. It's not good enough, right? I think we need to make the time to just be still, take your Bible out, and if you can do the actual physical Bible versus your phone, because let me tell you, my phone is so distracting. Even though I try to turn off all of notifications, I still get stuff nonstop, and it's silly stuff. But then squirrel, like instead of focusing on your Bible app, you accidentally click on the notification that came through, and so anyway, I think it's super important that we take the time to just be still and actually ask God to speak to you. Like, God, what are you trying to have me learn from, even if it's just one verse and not necessarily a chapter or two, because he will show up in amazing ways to speak to your soul. That is the one way he communicates with us, is through his word.
Absolutely. I think just for me personally, I've been trying to get away from my checkbox mentality. And I'm a girl who loves spreadsheets and checkboxes and planners and organizers and all those things. So when I step away from that and I look at just being, I let go of all those expectations that are external, because God doesn't say, get the checkbox done. Like, yes, I need to be productive in my life and contribute and serve, but to be in the space of doing something because I'm supposed to versus doing it because I want to, those are very different heart postures for me. So I really have been trying to like be in the word, but let it be like quality over quantity. You know, I was like trying to do this Bible plan and that Bible plan. And I'm like, actually just sitting and reading a few verses and like digging into my study Bible a little bit more has been a little bit more life-giving, you know, because then I'm building a relationship with the word and not just checking a box. Same thing with like quiet time, or, you know, I've been guilty of the social media scrolling, and I don't know about you, but I don't feel better or recharged after that. And so I've started picking up physical books again, you know, and actually like reading a physical book, and just having those moments of being present, specifically with my family. When I put my phone on the counter on the charger, and I don't have it grabbing distance, I feel like I have so much more time to connect with my daughter or my husband, and just sitting there and just being with them. Even if we're not talking, you know, like, well, my husband and I'll have a cup of coffee in the morning before he leaves for work. And sometimes we're chatting and sometimes we're just sitting, and it's, you know, really nice just to be present with the people that you care about. So, you know, could I make that a checkbox? Sure. Spend time with the hubby, spend time with the kid, you know, do those things, but I get to just be with them.
Right.
And I've had to make some really hard cuts to my schedule to make that happen. So sometimes you have to say no to the good thing for the better thing.
Amen.
Have you heard of the book?
And that's so precious.
Yeah, there's a book called The Best Yes. I think it's by Lisa TerKeurst. I don't know.
No, I love her, but I've never read the book.
So I think it's an older book, The Best Yes, really good book. But it's like, when you say yes to something, is it your best yes? You know, is it the thing that is really the top of your priority? You know, if it's is family over a friend request, or, you know what I mean? Those types of things, like we have to evaluate all those things that come up before us to figure out what's our best yes.
Okay. Well, let's talk about what do you think are some signs of burnout?
Oh, so many. I would say irritability would be one of the top ones. You know, even in my counseling practice, I think that's one of the first time when people start feeling short, frustrated, negative thoughts, you know, and around things that they usually love. Like, for example, maybe they used to love to go get coffee with their friends, and they're like, oh, I don't want to, or, you know, just that frustration that someone's asking something from you. That's a pretty big sign of burnout. I don't know. Is that something you've experienced?
Oh, yeah. I feel like I'm more irritable with the ones I love most, right? Like my husband and the kids. When I'm so tired or exhausted or burnt out, that is the major thing. The main thing,
absolutely,
is being irritable.
And I think exhaustion, you mentioned that, like if you're still exhausted and you've had a good solid night's sleep, or it could also be lots of sleep disturbances. It could be that you're waking up in the middle of the night. It could be that your sleep isn't fully recharging. There's so much processing that the brain does when we're in our REM sleep, that if you're not getting good deep sleep, that's going to give you fatigue and low energy, and that's going to make tolerating and getting through the things that you need to get through in your day even more difficult.
So it's so crazy, because the newest thing I found out about getting good sleep. So usually I always used to scroll before bedtime, right? Because I was like, oh, that's what makes me tired, and it makes my eyes tired. And my husband would be like, don't do that. It's so bad for you. You keep your brain. And I'm like, you don't know what you're talking about. We're different. We're all different. Let me just do me, because this is what makes me tired and fall asleep. And man, did I learned more about it and studied and talked to doctors. That's the worst thing you can do. They say to at least an hour before you get ready to go to bed, don't even be on your phone at all, so that your brain can start shutting down. So I'm learning. I learned the hard ways. And so now well, first of all, it's not even good to have your phone near your head, like when you're sleeping.
I've heard that. I haven't looked at any studies on that.
Because, obviously you guys know that I had a brain tumor, and so the doctors say try to keep it as far away from you as possible, because all the radiation and all the things, it's not good to have close to your head. So there's a lot of benefits to that. Keep it away, right? Not just for health reasons, but then also so you're not distracted to pick it up when you're bored, or you can't, your brain can shut down. You're like, oh, let me tire myself out by looking at the phone. It's bad for you. So, I highly recommend it. If you have a phone on your nightstand, put it somewhere, plug it in somewhere across the room where it actually takes you work to get out of bed and go get it if you have to, because it's definitely more beneficial that way too.
Absolutely. And I think, have you ever looked at how many times you pick up your phone in a day? It's probably way more than we would ever consider, because there's that little bit of like a dopamine hit, that goes on in our brain of like, ooh, something exciting, or ooh, something entertaining, or ooh, someone wants to talk to me. That like happens every time you're connected to your phone. So even just to give your brain peace, putting it across the room from you as often as you can, I think is a really healthy thing, just to, the distractions and the things that are pulling us in a million different directions continue that cycle of burnout. So more distance, more space gives you a little bit more breathing
if you can learn anything, we highly recommend put your phone far away from you, as far away as possible.
Just from our own experience, right?
What about being spiritual distance when you experience a burnout?
I mean, I think that probably is a huge, sign that you're getting burned out, is that you feel far from God, that you feel disconnected from God, that the time you used to invest in your quiet time with God, maybe you're praying less, maybe you're reading the word less, maybe you're going to church less, all of those things. We need that spiritual nourishment to keep us connected, right? And so when we distance ourselves from God, it feels like he's so far away. And we can know he's real. We can know he's there. We can know that he's shown up in our lives. And sometimes we still create that distance. It's not that much different than people isolating themselves from their friends and their loved ones when they're in a hard space, right? Like when you're going through something, most people don't reach out and say, help, I need help, initially anyway. They withdraw. They isolate. And so when we isolate from God, that just makes the burnout worse, not better. Because we kind of like turtle shell and retreat. We want to feel safe, but we're actually doing the opposite of what would be most healing.
Right. Well, and for me, I feel like when I'm serving, I feel like I'm serving more out of obligation than joy. Right. So
that's a sign of burnout, right? Like my heart posture is changing.
Yeah. And so it's okay. It's okay. Like if you're really involved in church or just serving, and it's okay to take a break for yourself. You know what I mean? It's actually healthy to do that, because like in my case, I was like a yes, ma'am. Yes, I'll do it. Yes, I say yes to anything. And then I overextend myself and burn out. And so don't feel bad. Like if you're feeling low or disconnected, or if you don't have joy in the service that you're doing or the serving, step back, take a break, for a couple months, and then when you're ready, just get back to it again. So
absolutely. I think if there was any takeaway, even just from this initial part of our discussion, is that everyone feels burnout sometimes. Everyone does. And so the key is to recognize it and then take the steps you need to rejuvenate. And so that can mean a pause, even in the good things, like you're saying, serving is a great thing,
right? But
that's okay to pause too. So I'm going to keep coming back to this idea of rhythm and rest, because there's a season for everything, that we know that's true. And so sometimes seasons are to serve a ton, and then sometimes they're to serve less and prioritize something more. I used to believe in the idea of balance, and that everything was a balance. I don't believe in that anymore. I believe that different things are going to take a priority at different seasons, and that's okay too. And so just giving yourself permission to want to acknowledge burnout exists and identify some of what your season needs in this moment instead of this is what I've always done. It's okay to shift and to make a pivot. Actually, God teaches us to do that all the time.
Yes, amen. So don't go away anytime soon. We're going to take a break for a little bit, and then when we come back, we'll talk about more burnout examples and even people that got burnt out in the Bible. There's a couple of stories that I can think of. So we'll be right back.
Welcome back. We've been talking about burnout today, and we wanted to kind of segue into some examples in the Bible of people that were burnt out. And one of them that comes to mind for me is the story of Elijah. He witnessed this amazing miracle of God and helped defeat, enemies of God, protecting different prophets. And so he had seen God show up in his life. And so after that miraculous event, he was scared and he felt burned out, and he left, he hid, and God met him right where he was. God came to him and said, "What are you doing here?" and took care of him and whispered to him. God didn't show up loudly, but he whispered. And so when I think about, seeing God show up in such a powerful way, even just in my own life, like knowing he's there, seeing him, sometimes I still run and hide. Sometimes when I'm burned out, I still withdraw and feel sorry for myself and, want to give up. And even that was true for Elijah. And so his experience with God was not coming in the big things, though he saw God in the big things, but was in the whisper. And sometimes I wonder, are we being quiet enough and still enough to hear the whisper? Has that ever happened to you where you've heard God in a whisper versus the big things?
Oh man, yes, I'm sure. And I'm trying to think of, I feel like just recently I did. Actually, yeah, when I went through speaking about Trace Diaz, how I told you that I just got back from it. Well, I went through my weekend in October of last year, October of 2025. And part of the exercise that they do there when you first get there is to be still. And for me at first, I absolutely hated it. I'm like, what the heck? This is weird. What did I join? Where did I come to? Because I honestly didn't know how to do that. I'm such a busy, go that I don't know how to be still. And I actually, like I said, I probably didn't even want to be still. And man, let me tell you, after 10, 12 hours of being still and not conversing and just being in my own thoughts and listening, God showed up in beautiful ways. It was one of the most amazing experiences that I had with Jesus. It's because, finally all my thoughts calmed down and I opened myself in, and he was able to speak to me, and I was able to hear him clearly.
Oh, I love that.
And so, yeah.
I think that's so true. Back to the retreat that I and Kristen took last fall to the Oaks, which was an amazing retreat. But to be able to have that quiet time and space to just be with God, it's hard to do that in the busyness of our homes and our day-to-day life, right? Like I know I have a place in my house that I go to every morning where I do my reading with my coffee, and I can create quiet time in that space, but it's been really hard work to do that. And usually I have to wake up well before my family does to get that time in. But when you take that time out, like a retreat, is so powerful to be able to say, let me just make space to hear God whisper, and I think in Elijah's case, he was in, I believe it was the Kerith Ravine. So he's in this like desert kind of place. There's like a little bit of water, but not a whole lot. And God sustained him in that quiet as he was kind of getting his strength and his energy back up to be able to go serve God again, and God wasn't mad at him for taking that rest and time out. He's like, hey, I want to be with you.
Right.
You know, I want to sustain you. Listen for me. So he shows up in those quiet moments, but we can't hear the whisper if we're doing all the loud things.
Right.
Right. You know,
right.
if we're busy, and we're too distracted to hear him.
Well, and I mean, remember he said one of my favorite verses, be still
Yes.
and know that I am God.
Yes.
Like when we are still, he shows up in amazing ways for us.
Yeah. And I think stillness is rare.
Yes.
Right?
Especially in our world, in our country.
Yeah.
Like we don't know how to be still or relax. Everything's on the go. Everything is fast food, microwave, like everything go. And so, and still like, you feel like you get nothing accomplished even, I mean, well, I shouldn't say that. We do get some stuff accomplished, but compared to other countries, like I just feel like the more you get done, the more you feel, like you haven't accomplished anything. Like, you know, in other countries that they do very minimal and they're so much more happy than we are when we go and we get all these things and check all these boxes and you still feel empty.
Yeah. Performance isn't peace. You know, we think when we will just get there or just to the next thing or the next goal and accomplish. And I'm not saying laziness. I'm not saying, you know, rest as laziness. That's a totally separate thing, but rest as a means to then be healthy and productive, to reduce the burnout, and to stop pushing past it. I think that's something that we do is we just keep pushing, and we know we're burned out. And what do? We push more. And then we know we're burned out and we push more. And then we hit a wall. And, you know, again, in my professional life, that's when people come to see me is when they've just been running and they hit a wall and something breaks. Whether it's emotionally, relationally, spiritually, it can be any combination of those. And so that's when it's like, oh, sometimes we want to do that preventative step. Like, let's stop before we hit the wall and let's give ourselves permission to do that. And so another example in scripture of the busy is Martha and Mary. Do you want to share the story about Martha and Mary?
Well, are you more of a Martha or a Mary?
Oh, I'm a Martha. I will be full disclosure. I want to do things and be a good hostess and make sure everything looks good and, you know, feels good for my guests. And so I can relate to Martha, but I strive to be more like Mary. That's my goal.
So for those of you that don't really know the story of Martha and Mary, is Jesus was coming and Martha was the one who was doing all the things and making sure everything was perfect and the food was ready. And Mary was the one that just followed Jesus everywhere and just stood by him and listened to him and sat at his feet. And Martha got irritated with Mary for not helping out. And then she goes to Jesus and be like, Jesus, can you talk to her? Like, hello, tell her to do something. It's not fair. And then Jesus, what was his response? Like, Martha, don't worry, you need to be more like Mary in a sense, is kind of what he told her.
She's focused on the right things.
Yeah, she's focused. Amen. And so, man, that's so true for me. Like, I'm also a Martha, believe it or not. But I'm getting better as I'm getting older. I used to be so crazy about if I was hosting something or people were coming over, everything had to be perfect and cleaned, and every crevice and every had to be clean. And now I'm just like, man, nobody cares but me. Nobody's gonna notice the dirty baseboards or whatever, the fingers on the wall or on the mirror. Like, it's just me. And like, I learned to kind of let go and be more present. And it's so powerful when I do that, because I actually get to enjoy the company and probably pour into the people coming over even more than, because they don't care about my dirty baseboards or dirty floors or dirty mirrors. So
absolutely. Well, and I think, again, that's the example of like two good things, right? Like preparing your home, preparing a meal, entertaining, hosting. That's a good thing, right? There's a lot of generosity in that and gratitude, and it's a beautiful thing. And then in this example with Mary, being in, with Jesus, hearing from Jesus, learning from Jesus, just having a relationship with him, two good things, but what's the better, right? Like my perfect house versus having people over and being in that community. And again, been guilty of it. It's taken me work, and I'm not a great hostess, so I have to work at it to even just be
I'm sure you
moderately sufficient. But that's okay, because then I get those opportunities to be like, I could focus on the imperfections, or I can focus on being with the people that I care about. and showing them that I care about them and encouraging them and being grateful for them. So we're all works in progress.
Yes. Well, and it's crazy. I'm so grateful for people like you that God gave the wisdom to help us in that time of need when we are at our breaking points with different things, that you could guide us on what we need to do to fix that, or how to cope with it, or how to deal with things. And so you have a very special and important role in your career. You know what I mean? To be able to bless people with that. So don't worry about the mess or the craziness, or, just focus on encouraging people and building them, because that's definitely a gift that the Lord gave you. And so I'm so grateful for counselors and therapists and, encouragers, because
I'm thankful. And I think, again, God gifts us in different ways. So cooking's not my gift, and I'm okay with that. Cleaning's not my gift, and I'm okay with it. Can I do those things? Yes. But I'm just blessed to be able to give that encouragement. And I think even it all boils down to being able to think about it differently, being able to feel differently about it. If I hold on to this idea of perfection, I'm always going to fall short, because I'm never going to achieve what I think I'm going to achieve, right? There's never going to be that peace that I'm searching for unless I invite Jesus in, unless I invite that rest in, unless I prioritize what my true values are first. Going through your calendar, going through your bank account, your time tracking, seeing what you're spending your time in, what you're putting in your calendar, what you're spending your money on, that'll tell you what you're prioritizing. And so if you look at those things and you're like, oh, that matches what I value, awesome. But likely, as it's true for many of us, we look at those things and I say I value family, for example, or I say I value my relationship with the Lord, but I don't see him on my calendar. I don't see him, I don't see that, being spent in time, money, energy, whatever, I'm not pouring into that. And so I think when we can get really real with ourselves and say, this is hard, and we have to be, countercultural in that way. We have to find rest even when the world says push. And there's all different ways to do that, but that's kind of a really convicting one. If you haven't ever done an audit of your time and your calendar and your finances of where where you're spending those things, that's going to tell you what you value.
Yeah, and the question is, how many of us are living Martha mode, right? Thinking we're doing it for God, but we're actually drifting away from being with him. Oh, that's very good. Can you think of any other examples in the Bible?
I think about Jesus, right? Jesus would heal people and take time in solitude. He would preach and then take time in solitude. And there were times where the disciples didn't know where he was, that he was intentional about taking that time away. And so I'm like, well, if he's who I'm modeling my life after, and he's teaching me how to love well and show up well, and how to, be generous well, rest is a part of it. And again, rest is not laziness. It's rest is a part of recharging. It's one of our strategies. We have to build that into our lives somehow, even when it feels impossible to do that. And so I love encouraging people, just my friends, my, colleagues, whether it's a client or whoever, you have to build that rest in. And you're not going to want to. That's a hard thing to do. If I asked you to go put rest in your calendar right now.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, do you see her looking at her? She's like, yeah, right. When I'll rest when I'm dead,
right?
But if rest refilled you and refueled you, if I said, go put some fuel in your calendar, you might look at that differently, right? You got to put gas in your car to keep it going. You can't say, well, I'll gas it up when I'm dead. That's not going to work, right? So I think if we look at it differently, we change our thinking, we renew our mind, we're able to put rest in our schedules in a totally different way. Jesus did it. So why? If it's good enough for him,
right?
I'm going to follow his path.
Almighty, the greatest, and he took the time to rest. Yeah, it's so crazy. So there's so much power in your words too, right? It's crazy how, if, like you said, if you put fuel instead of rest, I'll most likely do it. There's power in your words. There's power in your actions. And he even says, Jesus says, come to me, those who are weary, and I will give you rest. He talks about that. Jesus never praised burnout, but he invited rest. I feel he modeled it for us. He went away into the garden even to pray and refuel himself. And so we need to follow that perfect example that he was, and just be more like him. And I feel like God isn't impressed with our exhaustion, right? He desires our connection.
Absolutely.
And so when we're overexhausted and burnt out, we don't strive to connect with him or get in the word, or, you know, or have a relationship with him. And that's what he really wants, is for us to connect with him more than doing everything else.
Absolutely. So, burnout, we can all relate to it, but it steals the things that we find joy in instead of giving it back, you know. And I think that's where we have to create that shift of like, refueling allows us to experience more joy in this life. And I don't know about you, but most people want to experience more joy in this life, right? We don't want to experience the burnout and the exhaustion and the frustration and the anxiety and the worry that comes along with that. So being able to be like, okay, I'm choosing to refuel, and it's biblical to refuel. It's not laziness, it's rest. And if rest feels too much like laziness, then relabel it. I'm refueling today. I'm recharging. I'm renewing. That is absolutely spiritually sound.
I love that. And I'm definitely going to get rid of the phrase, I'll rest when I'm dead. Because
you say that?
That's my theme, is to go, I'll rest when I'm dead. I'll sleep. You know.
All right, we're going to hold you accountable to that.
I know, I am. Thank you. I needed to hear this myself, because I'm definitely in that season. And, you know, it doesn't mean it's going to be that I'm going to be there forever. It could just be a day or two, a season. It could be even hours, you know, where you go and take away and refuel yourself. So absolutely. I love it.
Yeah, you just, did that this week. You said you poured yourself out, you took 2 days to rest, and then you're ready to go back at it again. And so that rhythm, now you know that about yourself. I think when we learn these things, we have to be curious and apply it. Like, you know that now. So the next time you sign up for one, 2 days after, you clear your calendar for refueling. Yeah, perfect. So we got to take the information we learn. That's a gift as well. You know, the gift of getting to know how God designed us, because we're also unique in that way.
Amen. Yes. So don't go away. We're going to take a quick little break, and then we'll come right back and finish the episode on burnout.
God has been preparing my life since before I was even born. There was a moment my life could have ended before it began, but God intervened. Through every move, every season, He was shaping what I would value as a wife and a mother. Even through loss, He taught me to slow down, pay attention, and live more aligned with Him. And now, I can see the fruit in my children, in the people in my life, in the light others say they feel. Not because I've done everything right, but because He has been faithful in preparing the ground. God didn't just plant you, He's been preparing you.
Hi friends, welcome back. Thank you so much for still being here with us. And we're going to go ahead and wrap up this burnout episode and kind of discuss the real life causes that's causing the burnout. So do you have any examples that you can tell us that what would cause, what are some of the real life issues that are causing burnout?
Yeah, I think stressful jobs is one of the top, because a lot of times when we have that stress in our workplace, and that's natural to some jobs, right? Like healthcare or, any jobs that you're dealing with a lot of trauma or difficult people, like even in your job, right? Customers, keeping people happy, like we carry a lot of that stress. And a lot of times that follows us home. So when we don't have a good transition ritual between work and home, it's almost like the spillover happens and then there's more added to it in the home life. And so it just kind of snowballs. And so one of the things I really recommend and practice myself is to have a transition ritual between your work space and your home space. And that can look like all different things. That could be doing a breathing exercise in the car before you get out and go inside your house. It could be, some people go to the gym on the way home from their work, or to take a few minutes at your desk before you leave to read scripture. That you can find some different strategies that's unique to you that gives you almost like a mental reset in between your workspace and your home space. This is especially true for people that work from home. If you work from home, you absolutely need this too. So that way, when you close the door to your day, your work day, that you have your workspace and your family space, and those are not overlapping each other, that they need kind of a period at the end of that sentence to start the new sentence. Otherwise, that snowball of stress and burnout continues on in the home space too, right?
Yeah. I remember I used to have a super stressful job. When I was a 911 operator, I did dispatch for close to 15 years between fire and police. And man, talk about like crazy times, right? Because nobody calls 911 on their best day. It's usually their worst day or some sort of crisis, whether it's medical or PD. And I mean, we have so many first responders out there, and I'm so grateful and thankful for them that they chose that career to, you know, just protect us and bless us. But I remember, I mean, I'd have nights where I would work crazy incidents, and then you go from the crazy incident of, let's say, a home invasion or you know, somebody coded to, oh, my neighbor's dog is barking, can you send an officer? And I'm like, oh my goodness. So you kind of have to, you know, regulate yourself and just kind of learn how to balance and handle each call with love and care, right? Because that's what we're taught to do. But I remember I used to just get off shift and walk 5 miles every morning around the PD, just to kind of clear my mind and then set myself up to be able to go home to my family and not take any of the stress that I encountered the last 12 hours at work. And so I highly recommend that. Good point. Yeah, a lot of you guys that have stressful jobs, please take care of yourself, you know, whatever that looks like. You know, a lot of the times though, I feel like when it is a super, super stressful, doing something physical, whether it's working out or walking or, you know, relaxing, like by going to the gym and going in a sauna or steam room, that'll help you calm down before you go into your family life.
Our mind, body, and spirit are all connected. And so that's such a good point to have a physical release, because when we get stressed, I give this example when I'm talking to clients sometimes, is like your body will feel danger before your mind recognizes it. So for example, there's a bear, you know, in front of you, your body's going to be like, respond physically before your brain goes, oh, that's a bear, I should be scared, right? Like it's instant. So that's also true when we experience stress in the workplace, right? Our body is reacting and taking on that stress physically, or even trauma, depending on, like 911 operator, absolutely there's a trauma aspect to that. So our body holds onto that first, and our mind we can play the, like, you know, it's not mine, I don't need to take it home, but our body's still reacting. So having a physical and mental outlet is so incredibly important. Walking is a great example. Breathing exercises, great example. But allowing your physical body to release that stress is so, so important. Because a lot of times we go from sitting to sitting, right? I sat at work, and then I sat in my car, and then I sit at home. And there's no like physical release to that. So I love that example you gave of walking, because it's giving you a physical release to that, and using each side of your body. There's a rhythm to that is very soothing to our bodies. If you think about babies, right? We rock them on both sides of the body. Like there's something very healing and renewing when we can use both sides of our body for something.
And don't be afraid or embarrassed to ask. Like for me, when I was doing it with a coworker. So it was you know, it was even better because we got to do it together. You're safer. Then you can even talk about your night and how it was. So don't be afraid to like stand up and ask a coworker, hey, especially if you work in a stressful environment, hey, would you like to meet me after work to hang out 30 minutes at the gym or go for a walk or whatever that is? Sometimes you need to take the initiative, because you'll be surprised. A lot of people want to do it, but they don't have the courage to ask the other person. So.
And that's such another powerful thing too, of like, when you start to feel those early signs of burnout, ask for help. Be vulnerable. Don't just power through it. As much as, you know, we are super women or, you know, super men, you know, that we all need support. And so instead of that initial desire to like retreat and like come in, we need to say, hey, I'm struggling a little bit. Can I share with you what's been going on? Or can you help me? Can you walk with me after work? Like being able to voice what we need is really huge, because again, that sign of burnout is going to be, I'm going to withdraw and pull back. we want to make sure we're still engaging with people and that we're connecting in community, right? Life exists in relationship. And so not just with Jesus, but with, the people around us.
Yep.
And so, stressful jobs, are definitely a part of the equation for burnout. That also goes for stressful parenting, stressful home life, and not saying no. We talked about this a little earlier. Like we have that tendency to say yes to all the things, and it's a good thing, right? We're saying yes to good things, but if we're prioritizing the wrong yeses, then that's going to lead to burnout. So have you ever been in a season where you prioritize the wrong yeses?
Yes, I have. And Kelly, used to be so bad. Like I remember if I had a plan on Saturday to attend a birthday party and 2 more people had other birthday, because I have 6 kids. I would say yes to everything and try to make all 3-4 birthday parties in one day. And it's crazy, or even with volunteering at church, like saying yes to everything, because you almost feel like you have to earn God's approval, well, I'm doing it for him. And so I shouldn't say no, because then am I going to disappoint God? God is not looking for that. You know what I mean? We don't have to burn ourselves out to feel loved or to be loved by God. God loves you the way you are, just as you are. You don't have to earn his approval. And so, for me, I used to have a very difficult time saying no to anything. Yeah. But I think it's just the age and the wisdom now. I definitely have a better or easier time saying no to people or saying no to things. And maybe you can give us an example on how to say no.
Oh, I think that's hard, but no can be a complete sentence. No, no, thank you. I appreciate the offer, but I can't. Or I'm not available. And that can mean, you can personally know that means spiritually, emotionally, energy-wise, that you're not available to take on that commitment. But you can say I'm not available.
Yeah, you don't have to apologize. Because I always be like, I'm sorry, but I can't. Don't do that. You don't have to. You don't have to give an explanation.
Oh, exactly. Or make an excuse of like, I can't because, or I'm not available because. That's okay just to say I'm not available, and knowing that you're doing that out of love, because sometimes when we say yes, and so for example, like the birthday parties, you're probably not showing up as energetic and joyful as you want to because you've just hit like 3 birthday parties in a row, right? That's not your best yes, because you're not able to show up at your best self. So being able to say yes to things and feeling really joyful in those moments, for example, like I recently had where I had several opportunities of different places that I could serve and could add on to my schedule. And so I, personally said yes to the one that best matched where my priorities are at the time and best matched what would help keep my energy strong at the time. Even though they were all great opportunities, I was excited about all of them, but just figuring out what most aligned with what is a priority in this season. So sounds like a great opportunity, but I'm going to have to say no, thank you. It's okay to say no.
I love that.
And it's kind, right? It's kind instead of saying yes and then being frustrated.
Right. And you're creating healthy boundaries for you too.
And boundaries can be biblical. Absolutely. Right.
Yes. Yes. I had a hard time with that word boundaries. I didn't know any boundaries. And man, once you do set healthy boundaries, it's so freeing and so relieving. Yeah.
There's a great book called Boundaries, just the title by Henry Cloud and John Townsend, if you've ever want to check out a book on that. And it speaks to it, how as believers you can set boundaries in love, because it really is more loving than saying one thing and meaning another, right? If I say yes and my heart says no, that's also not being authentic and kind and loving. So we just want to show up as our best selves, and we can't be our best selves if we're burned out. When you're in burnout, it's like you're trying to dig yourself out of this hole and it feels like quicksand. And so we have to not only prop up ourselves with the things that heal us, so whether that's scripture, prayer, meditation, gratitude, community, all of those things, but we also have to take the things out of our way that are tripping us into that hole, right? If we leave the tree branch that causes me to trip every time, then that's not going to help me either. So, I don't know if that's something that resonates with you, of like removing the things that cause us to trip back into burnout.
Yes, for sure. We have to do that. We have to be real. We have to rest, real rest, not just rest to do it, or we also have to be honest with God when, like, if you're if you're struggling with something, like, be honest with God, not polished prayer. Like, talk about, Lord, I am struggling. I am exhausted. You know, I need you to please fill me up. Don't just, I don't know. I feel like I used to do that a lot. Like, just, my prayer was not very real. And he knows everything about us. So it's like,
he's like, girl, you're burned out. Don't lie to me.
I know.
When someone says, how are you? And you go, fine.
Yeah.
God
and
knows.
then, you know, say no to good things, even when it, you know, say no, even when it's good things. Don't worry about it. Don't feel bad.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, give yourself permission.
Yeah. And then just, what else can we do? Like, what else can you think of that can set us up for,
like removing those things that trip us up. So like, for example, if I know that I have something on my calendar every week that is really difficult for me to do, or that it isn't recharging me, I need to like investigate that and say, is this really the right thing to be saying yes to? And that's okay to go, hey, maybe this comes off my calendar for this season. Or maybe I add this back on in a future season. Like it's okay to remove things. There's a great book called The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry by John Mark Comer. And, you know, it's kind of this idea of like, quit the things that steal your joy, right? So he goes pretty analog with it. He's like, get rid of the smartphone. All, you know, he kind of goes in a really, you know, he makes a lot of changes in his life, even simplifying his wardrobe and things like that. And that's awesome.
Wow.
But even just the little things of like, you know, the calendar audit, do I really need to be doing this right now in this season? Is this my top value? And align our values with our priorities. Because if I say my value is family and I never see my family because of all the activities I'm engaged in, or my work schedule, or all the things I'm putting before them, then I'm not matching my values with what I really want to prioritize in my life. And so sometimes we have to restructure those things and leave good things or add good things, but we have to remove those things that are tripping us up. And only you can do that with reflecting on what does that look like for you.
I love it. Thank you.
Yeah.
She's so good.
Oh,
I
you're
love
so sweet.
I love doing episodes with you because you fill me up, sister.
You fill me up, sister,
you speak
too. Oh,
truth,
you're
and
the
I
best.
love it. So if this is you, if you're tired, just know that you're not failing. You're human. You know, we're human and we fall short. And God's not asking you to prove anything through exhaustion. You know what I mean? You don't have to prove anything to God. You know, you don't have to earn rest either. Because sometimes I felt like, well, I didn't do enough to, you know, I have to get the dishes done and the laundry and start dinner before I go take a 15-minute nap. Like, you don't have to earn rest. If you listen to your body, listen to yourself. If you need it, take it. It's okay. Do it. You know, it's only going to benefit you in the long run and those around you, because, you know, I mean, I think that saying is pretty true. Happy wife, happy life, or happy mom, happy life. Because
but when we show up frustrated and burned out, we're not the most patient version of ourselves.
Right.
We're not the most loving version of ourselves, right? We're not the most present version of ourselves. But if you think about this, maybe you've experienced this, when you're on vacation, maybe in nature somewhere, you're a lot more present, right? You're a lot more joyful. You're a lot more relaxed. And yes, it could be the environment that you're in, but also the things that aren't priorities are not in front of you. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So like, if you look at that, like, how do I create that experience in my daily life? What's different? Now, obviously you still have to, you know, work and provide and all of those things, but can you tweak it in a way that it feels more like that healthy rhythm that you build when you're on vacation? Because vacation, a lot of times you're still doing stuff.
Right.
You know, you're still, there's still good stress around you, but it's the heart posture is different. So how do we protect that heart posture that we have on vacation?
I love it. Yeah. So, we're just here to encourage you to take care of yourself, whatever that looks like. Don't feel guilty for doing it.
Yes.
Take the rest, take the time out that you need to fill yourself up, whatever that looks like, right? Whether it's be in pajamas all day and do nothing and even maybe binge watch your show, although I'm not a TV person. But if that's what makes you happy, or that's what needs to fill you up, do it. Absolutely. I mean, we recommend you being in the Word and worshiping and sitting
those
still.
Those things too, like those things, there's space for all of those things. But I think when you really evaluate what fills you up the most, you're likely going to find some of those spiritual activities are going to fill you up more than, chilling and watching Netflix or social media, or at least that's what I personally found. So evaluate for yourself, but there's something really beautiful and powerful in that stillness, in that peace, and in that prayer when you give it to God. Say, God, this isn't mine to carry. I don't know why I'm carrying this. Have you ever been like, why am I still doing this thing that I've been carrying and repeating for years? It's like, give it to Him, allow yourself to put that down, so that you can have the room to be present. Burnout, we're carrying too much, and we're not releasing enough. And so somehow we just keep adding to the pile.
Yeah.
And so just be real and honest and share with someone like we're sharing today. Alina's going to hold me accountable to make sure I don't get burned out, and I'm going to do the same to support her too.
Yes,
and,
please.
And we're going to, just allow God to do His work in us.
Awesome. Well, Kelly, I think we should close with a prayer for our viewers, if we could.
Thank you.
And then, thank you so much for watching with us. But let us close with a prayer. Lord, for every person listening who feels tired, overwhelmed, and stretched thin, help them release what's not theirs to carry, Lord. Remind them that you are not a taskmaster, and you are a Father. Teach us to rest in you and not just work for you. Lord, restore our joy, peace, and connection where burnout has taken over. Lord, we love you so much for all that you're doing in and through this program. And I just play blessing over each one of our listeners, Lord, that you just draw them to you, Lord, that you give them the peace and the rest that they need. And we ask all these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you. That was beautiful.
Yeah, so if any of this resonated with you, please subscribe, share. Is there anything else that we need them to do? I think it's just share and subscribe.
Yeah, share your stories of what you're doing to help keep burnout to a minimum in your life. We're excited to hear what you're up to.
Yeah, and if you need any help, please don't feel bad. Reach out to us at www.intothegardenwegrow.org, and we are here for you. We would love to pray with you or help you with any needs that you may have. Thank you so much for watching us and listening to us. Until next time, have a blessed week.
If something from today's conversation spoke to your heart, we invite you to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Thank you for being part of this community. Until next time, friends, we'll meet you here in the garden, growing together.